Okay, so I'm back again, folks. Mega Mac Cat's here to continue from last time, and I did want to bring up something while we're on the subject here. I actually should probably give a little bit more insight into what this actual gaming thing is for the Gundam Breakers. It's actually based on a anime series called Mobile Suit Gunplay Builders, something like that. I actually haven't been able to find or see the series, but what I can tell you is that basically the concept of the game is almost a mirror image for the concept of the show. Basically, kid goes to a convention, celebrating the Gundam series and all the models and everything, fails to get like the last of the RX-78 special editions, but actually finds a special version of the Gundam, and then it sort of goes from there. Basically, it's the same thing here, except we aren't actually going through all the story stuff. We're just sort of getting right into the game itself. Because in the show, he eventually puts his unit in the game and starts playing it like we're doing. And then after that, we can go from there. Things sort of go from there. But as you'll notice, I'm getting a lot of absolute crap here. Oh. Better RGM, I might as well, but... Ooh, better head, too. And... yeah, still getting crappy body unit. Did I at least get a better set of legs? Yes, I did. Cool. So, we're gonna go ahead and do some upgrades here. My biggest complaint is that when you paint over a unit, it more or less retains the color if you change out its body parts. So you have to repaint any new gear that comes along, which is slightly annoying, but not that big of a deal. I did get a new shield, but it's essentially the same shield I had previously. You know what? I'm going back to the saber. But for the moment, I'm sticking to the bazooka simply because I like the bazooka. Why can't I use this close range? I guess you have to have a certain backpack unit for it. Alright, so sticking with the bazooka and keeping heroic finish. And you know what? I'm going to just paint the whole thing in one shot. One of the cool things about this is if you want to save time, you can actually paint the whole unit in a single go. It doesn't always get you the exact results you want, but in a general sense, it does do a good job. There we go, see? Instant fix. Now go ahead and save that again real quick. Now, like I said, not uploading it to the Gunplay Perfect, guys. Alright, so let's go and face our first real challenge. Level 4, the first true battle. And this is where you start to get the different parts and cool pieces that you can pick up for later units. It's also the first real true challenge to the game. So, in that case, I think it's probably one of the better ways for you to get into it. Alright, here we go. And engage. Let me adjust the mic here a little bit so I'm not deafening everybody in the room. Now, to be absolutely fair, the game, if I had a complaint about the game overall as far as like gameplay would be concerned, it is a bit of a slow start because you don't really start getting the awesome parts until later, which admittedly I could level the exact same complaint against games like Dynasty Warriors, Monster Hunter, and a dozen others, so I don't think that's as big an issue as most people make it out to be. It just requires a little bit of patience. What I do think is really a problem with this game for most people is that it is so Japanese heavy that the only way to make any sense of it is to actually know Japanese, or to just do what I did and do trial and error the whole way through. Which, admittedly, I eventually got there. I mean, yeah, it took me a while, but I got there. Now, these guys with those big stick laser thingies are using what's known as a lance, and there's many types of weapons in this game. What I'm wielding is just the standard beam saber, iconic weapon of the series, but there's lances, there's axes, there's whips and maces and flails, and you can even just use your fists if you really want to give it a shot. All right. Soften you guys up and charge. Now, each special move is different, but because most of it's in Japanese, the only way to really figure out what each one does is to mostly go in and do, actual trials with it and see how it works. Now, that being said, they are nice enough to tell you if it's close range or long range, which is good, but other than that, they don't tell you if it's like a jumping attack, or if it's like a charging attack, or a sword attack, or what. And depending upon what kind of an attack it is, it might be useful in different situations. And someone just took my backpack off. Wow, I think I just found my next victim. I will say this. There is a special edition of this game. When I got this game, I got just a regular model of it. And when I say that, I mean I got whatever the available, the most common version that's available on the market is. But there was a special edition put out that you can still get through like PlayAsia and other places that included codes for like an additional set of music tracks. Now, that is one of the other things about this game that it is a little lacking on. The music that they do have is pretty awesome and fitting for the game, but it feels like there could be more variety. I'm not saying it's bad, it's actually very good. It just feels that they could have had more of it. That being said, what is there is fitting. It works really well for the themes. Different levels have different musical packs, and each boss has the bosses also get their own unique theme. So that at least works out well. Still, a little bit more variety would have been nice, and the special edition did apparently include that option. Although from what I've seen online, it may be that those codes are no longer valid. I don't know for certain, and if you're going to get this game, just be aware that if you get the special edition, the codes may no longer work. Ooh, ran him right over. Now I'm trying to use this spread beam, and it does a fairly decent amount of damage, but it's mostly just there as a distraction to, stun my opponent for a second while I'm trying to lay the smack down on him. Come on, die. Now early on, and this is something that I've brought up in, on other games I've played, early on it feels as if the melee system is really the only way to go. Because early on it feels like the projectile weapons you get are just not going to cut it. They're good for, softening up an opponent and doing some nice, splash damage, but to really lay the smack on them, you have to go in close. And I understand the implications on that. You want it to feel like a real Gundam fight, and those oftentimes do get real close range, except for maybe Gundam Seed and Gundam Wing. But by the same token, I feel like the guns should still pack more of a punch. And some of the later ones do. In fact, one of the best weapons I found in the game was the Gatling guns. Once you start to get those, the game takes a completely different turn because you'll spend so much of your time just wrecking all of their crud with a Gatling gun. You'll just literally just hang back and float while spraying round after round at your target. And it works because, and I think that's a GM custom. Yeah, it's a GM custom. Well, it's going to be custom scrap metal in a second. Should have held my heroic finish for when I got the 10,000 point bonus. But that's okay. I'll still probably make Norma cleared like nobody's business. Alright, there's some parts I can pick up around here, aren't there? Yes. Okay, now here's a boss battle that we're about to engage in. Every single level has a boss battle. And sometimes it's a single enemy, sometimes it's twin enemies, sometimes it's a boss backed up by a bunch of minions, sometimes it's a very difficult, very powerful boss. So we're going to charge up and we're going in to fight the first true Giant Gundam. There he is. I am Gundam. Now, the big Gundams are your typical boss battle, and they're well worthy of their titles. They're powerful, they're dangerous, they pack an enormous punch, and usually the best way to engage them is hit and run tactics. Close range, close range assault, then run away, pepper them with long range weapons and stun them, then get right back in there and just go to town. Problem is that they're, well, it's not a problem really, I shouldn't call it that, but the difficulty is that they are enormously more powerful than you. One hit can do just boatloads of damage. And I mean that literally. I've actually seen a single Gundam attack from one of these guys insta-kill a really powerful unit. Simply because they are strong. They're supposed to be bosses. They're supposed to be real tough enemies. So you gotta fight them smart. Now, thankfully, they do have the boss patterns, and you can learn how to fight them off. Another important thing about them is you need to keep in mind that just like you, they have shields, and you can actually break their shields. So that's a big part of how you fight them, is breaking through their defenses. And once they're pinned, you just go to town on them. Now, the bosses naturally give you tons of good loot, and oftentimes they're the best source of getting really good stuff. So, first big Gundam down, and we have completely trashed it. And I barely made the normal cleared, but we made it just the same. We also learned some new EX actions, which is cool. And we got some new parts. Now you notice that these parts are higher rank, oftentimes OS level 4 or better. And that means that they're more powerful. We also got a couple of long rifles, which is nice. And the rest of this we can more or less junk. There we go, I'm in. Alright, so now before I close out this video, we're going to go ahead and see what we got. And the next time we will go ahead and we will go ahead and continue forward and build ourselves a more powerful Gundam than before. Ooh, that's the Mark II laser rifle. Or particle rifle, I should say. And there's is that an RX-72? Yeah, it's an RX-72 backpack. Ooh, and the RX-72 body. Ooh, build level has increased as well. Ooh, I think those are the mine layer shoulder pads. Ooh, and Dom shoulders as well. And that's a special model GS leg. Okay, cool. Alright, well, next time in Gundam Breaker, we will go ahead and build us up a little bit more powerful Gundam and see what it can do. Again, my name is Mega Matcat, Solo Gamer, and hope you'll join me next time for more Gundam Breaker's awesomeness.